Omaha, and we are underway as the opening tip goes to the Blue Jays.
Well, Travis, I think you're going to see a steady dose of Kenny Lawson on the block early and often. They got to start inside and go from there.
Kenny Lawson started off strong in the first 5 minutes against Northwestern, and there was Doug McDermott with the first 2 points of the game.
He's got great touch around the basket. Again, Greg McDermott's son. He was committed to Northern Iowa, but when Greg McDermott made the coaching change to Creighton, he said, I'm taking my son with me, and I think Blue Jay fans are really happy about it. Doug's been tremendous, Travis.
And you can make the argument he's been the best player on the floor for the Blue Jays, averaging over 30 minutes a game.
That's Kyle Collinsworth. He's a freshman, very versatile guy. And yeah, you're right, Doug McDermott, again, double figures in every game so far.
Kenny Lawson, that 3-ball off the mark. You're going to see the big fella shoot from behind the arc quite a bit.
That's his new trick he worked on all summer. He started to shoot a little bit as the season progressed last year. He's capable out there. I'd rather see him in the block early in the game, but certainly he's going to take some threes.
Down low, that's Davies. Good defense by Lawson, and the Blue Jays come up with it.
Should be noted that veteran guard Jackson Emery out of the starting lineup right now. He might play. He was a game-time decision for BYU with some shin problems, and he averaged 28 minutes a game for a team that won 30 games last year. That's a very important piece for the Cougars.
McDermott with 15 on the shot clock. What a hook shot. He now has 4 points.
I already think Creighton fans are getting spoiled with this guy. This is a true freshman coming in. Packed house, and he's putting on a show already.
And down low, they say touche does the Cougars, as this game's tied at 4.
Guarding on the wings with Darryl Ashford and Caleb Korver is going to be of extreme importance this evening.
Antoine Young off the front of the rim. Here come the Cougars in transition. This is Collinsworth. Darryl Ashford goes high for the rebound. Brings it up all by himself. Now over to McDermott, inside to Kenny Lawson. Gets it underneath. Challenged by Davies, kicks it back out. Ashford inside to McDermott. After the block shot, McDermott's in and out on his second attempt.
You see them trying to go inside, whether it's Kenny Lawson or Doug McDermott. Everything's going to start in the paint for the Blue Jays tonight. Here's Jimmer Fredette.
He shoots the ball so good.
I tell you what, if there's one guy in the country I wouldn't want to challenge to a game of horse, it would be Jimmer Fredette. He can score in so many different ways.
And really, there's not much different than Antoine Young could have done right there.
No, there's nothing he can do. He does a little step back, creates space. That's all he needs. He's fading away, and that's what you got to do. Force him into tough jump shots.
Tough pass inside by Young, and it's taken away by BYU. Cougars now in transition. Collinsworth challenges Kenny Lawson, and BYU's up by 4.
You can see the effects of Jimmer Fredette there. Antoine Young had Kyle Collinsworth, but he's so worried about where Jimmer Fredette is. He left Collinsworth, left the basketball. That's a no-no, and Collinsworth makes him pay.
Kenny Lawson, that little jump hook, that's going to be effective as this season rolls along, especially as the Blue Jays get into the Valley portion of the season.
No doubt about it. Preseason Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. That's his best shot, that right-hand jump hook. And keep an eye if a ball screen comes here. Doug McDermott will really stay with Jimmer Fredette right now, and they'll try and get out of his hands, and they will slip some screens to get a defender out of the way. But this is where Fredette is extremely dangerous. Watch Kenny Lawson. He'll stay with it.
9 on the shot clock. Hartstock. This team shoots the ball so well on the season, 43% from the field, and they are lighting it up so far tonight, 4 of 6. That's 67% to start the game.
It's a shot Greg McDermott can live with right now. As long as you're making Jimmer Fredette give the ball up and other guys are knocking down shots, you'll live with your chances.
Antoine Young, he draws the foul. We got a timeout on the floor. Time flying by the Quest Center Omaha. BYU on top of the Blue Jays in the Mountain West Missouri Valley Conference.
31.
Jackie, 28.
Jim, 29.
What, Will Artino, is that who he's lazy.
All right, our halftime score prediction.
Yeah, his personality's a little different.
Yeah.
We'll find out at halftime if one of you is a winner.
Okay.
Yes, it looks like our Midtown Crossing winners have moved down to the lower bowl. Ryan and Drew enjoy the rest of the game in your new seats, courtesy of Midtown Crossing. DJ's Dugout is home of the Blazing Pianos Dueling Piano Show. and proud to sponsor Creighton Athletics. Look for the newest DJ's Dugout Sports Bar opening soon in Tiffin Capital.
Freshman Doug McDermott has established himself as the go-to guy for the Blue Jays. He's got 4 of Creighton's 6 points early on in the first half. He's the super frosh, and when you talk about super players at Creighton, you're going to compare him to
skill. And something I think has helped him was Doug McDermott at Ames High School played with Harrison Barnes, the highly touted recruit who plays for Roy Williams at North Carolina. He had games on ESPN as a high school player, so he's more comfortable in this environment than a normal freshman would be.
As Antoine Young hits the first free throw, and let's not forget that while his dad was the head coach at Iowa State, he's working out with Division I players and Big 12 players on a daily basis.
I've actually asked him about that. I said, do you think you have had a head start in being familiar with what your dad wants because you've watched him run his system for your entire life? He said, you know what, I never thought about it, but yeah, I think I might know it a little bit better.
It's amazing what you pick up over the dinner table, isn't it?
Yeah.
Antoine Young hit both the free throws. Jay's now back within 3. That's Kyle Collinsworth. He throws up an air ball. McDermott with his second rebound.
Jahins Manigat right here, freshman from Canada. I call him the...
And Wayne Reynolds into the ball game as well.
Guy's instant energy right now, the Canadian Red Bull, as I like to call him. Jahins Manigat has done a nice job so far this season coming off the bench and just playing hard.
And he's the first, believe it or not, first Canadian in Creighton history. McDermott for the 3. It's off the back of the iron. Here comes BYU now in transition. Abula can't get it to go. Good defense by Darryl Ashford.
Ashford, junior college transfer in his senior year, has got really long arms, sneaky bounce. He deflects a lot of passes, blocks a lot of shots.
They call him sleeping. If you look at his numbers, he's quietly put up, he's shooting over 50% from the field. Puts up really good numbers. Here's Ashford for 3. Blue Jays having a hard time finding the bucket now. 3 of 9 inside. Did you see the call, Nick?
It's a foul on Wayne Reynolds, and they're going to count. And it's interesting here. I figured Fredette would guard Antoine Young. They start out with Collinsworth on him. Now they got Abuo. I think they're trying to save Jimmer Fredette offensively with his legs. And on the other end, Antoine Young's taking on the duties of guarding Jimmer Fredette. And he cannot get into foul trouble. That is going to be of extreme importance for Antoine Young.
It's hard to believe we're talking about a backcourt of Creighton that is really thin. Creighton traditionally has been guard heavy.
Very guard heavy.
That's not the case this season, as Wayne Reynolds shows the inside presence. And you're going to see Wayne Reynolds be called on to play a lot of different roles, especially until about December 17th when Gregory Ekeniche comes out of, gets to be able to suit up for the Blue Jays.
And Wayne Reynolds, you saw there, although he's undersized, he can use it to his advantage. There, he's posted up about 17 feet away from the hoop. He faces up, uses his speed and quickness to get a piece of the paint and knock down the jump shot.
Josh Jones now coming to the ball game for Creighton. Josh started the first 3 games of the season for the Blue Jays. The sophomore out of Omaha Central. He's a shooter, a streaky shooter. He can be inconsistent at times, but he really came on at the end of last year. He was a redshirt freshman last year, really came on, was called upon to do some things, and delivered some clutch points for the Blue Jays.
And Josh Jones has been a little frustrated. You know, I think right now he's forcing the issue a little bit, trying to score the ball, but he's talked about in the paper today trying to get things back on track defensively and with effort plays. So look for number 5 there for Creighton to try and guard Jimmer Fredette and play hard. And that makes the game easier for you. You're not going to get out of a shooting slump necessarily by shooting your way out of it. You get comfortable by getting rebounds, diving on the floor. Then you'll start feeling more comfortable on the floor and those shots will fall.
5th team foul on BYU. Actually, 3rd team foul.
Josh Jones on Jimmer Fredette right now, who's been quiet.
Turnover by Fredette.
Nice job. Antoine Young getting a hand in there in that help lane.
Jahins Manigat.
Canadian Red Bull, instant energy, great length. at 6'2", driving his way to the bucket.
And Jahans is the type of guy that comes off the bench. You mentioned the energy, but he likes to get the crowd involved. And Creighton hasn't had a player like that in a while that really comes out and encourages the crowd to get into a game.
The cup.
Kenny Lawson Jr. back into the game, and Ethan Rogge making his first appearance. Rogge been slowed all season by a foot injury. Has not found his shooting touch at all.
That plantar fasciitis, something I struggled with my senior year. Very painful kind of heel injury.
Is that your excuse?
Yeah, that was always my excuse, right? Must be a number 34 thing. If you wear number 34, you're going to get that foot issue. Nothing better than built-in excuses, Trav.
I know. Abuo hits the bucket. BYU back on top by 5. Here's Kenny Lawson challenging, and he loses it. BYU. Emery and Emery's dealing with an ankle situation. The Blue Jays need a bucket.
So Rogge can stretch the floor. He was all freshman last year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Led the team in three-point shooting. Number 34 at the top of the key. Can really fill it up from downtown, but because he's battled a foot problem, hasn't gotten comfortable. And there's Lawson trying to get one to fall from the block. Got to get him going.
You just watch Fredette. He's crafty. You can tell he can make so many things happen.
Just love his pace.
Magnuson, that's a three-pointer. 20-12 BYU.
Jays are willing to relinquish that shot right now as long as it's not Jimmer Fredette shooting it. On ball screens, they're going to stay with Jimmer Fredette until it leaves his hands.
Ethan Rogge. We mentioned he hasn't found his shooting touch, and you know, when he's on, that quick release, it falls. Fredette off the mark. Rogge can't come down with it. BYU gets it back. There's Fredette, draws the foul. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Timeout on the floor with BYU up 20-12. Back to the Quest Center, Omaha.
Trying to get some information on Jimmer Fredette. He's also the draft expert for ESPN, and he has Jimmer Fredette at being a late first round, early second round pick, but said he's got to improve his ability to run a team like a true point guard would, but said he really loves the young man, and I think that's a consensus across the country.
And on the shot clock for the Blue Jays. Here's Kenny Lawson. And it was Fredette with the defense reaching in there, just causing a little havoc for Kenny Lawson.
This is something Kenny Lawson's going to have to get used to, getting double teamed or having guards really dig down on the post hard to try and make him uncomfortable, because right now the Jays have not proven that they can knock down a perimeter jump shot. Until they do so, they're going to really collapse on Doug McDermott, Wayne Reynolds, and Kenny Lawson. They're going to have to be strong with the ball. I think Kenny's got to make quicker, decisive moves until traffic gets in there, because once hands get around Kenny Lawson, he has a propensity to lose the basketball.
Doug McDermott, Wayne Reynolds, Caleb Korver back into the game. Tough long rebound for the Cougars, but they can't finish, and the Blue Jays catch a break. They need a bucket, Nick. Ashford stops in the paint, has it swatted. BYU controlling the pace. And has pretty much done what they've wanted to do so far.
And this packed defense from Greg McDermott, style of play is something the Jays fans are going to have to get used to. Obviously, Dana Altman, longtime head coach here, a CU legend, did a lot of full court pressing, getting up, forcing the action. Not the case with Greg McDermott. He's going to sit back, protect the paint, and force jump shots as Jackson Emery knocks down a triple. Again, a guy that was battling some shin problems and did not start the game, but a very capable three-point shooter.
12-point lead for Brigham Young, the largest Cougar lead of the game. Blue Jays in need of a bucket. Creighton has not scored a basket since the 12:51 mark. Here's Antoine Young. He has it swatted away. Back to Doug McDermott. In and out. Rebound to the Cougars.
Well, that's a shot Doug McDermott makes at an extremely high percentage.
Jimmer Fredette. He has struggled so far, but the rebound goes to the Blue Jays. McDermott.
Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie.